Like Ryan mentioned earlier, we have new August Dynasty ADP, and we thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the players that we think are most likely to fall out of ADP, of a range of ADP over the season, really, until the Super Bowl next year, right? Let's start with the round 1 ADP. It starts at the top with Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, and Justin Jefferson, followed up by Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb, and Christian McCaffrey. Back half of the first round goes DeAndre Swift, Kyle Pitts, Cooper Kupp, Javonte Williams, AJ Brown, and Deebo Samuel as a first round pick. So the question for you guys, which player is most likely to fall out of the top 12 by February 2023?
I feel like you can make a case for at least 5 or 6 of these guys as being the one, but I'm gonna take the boring option. I'm gonna say Cooper Kupp, because he's gonna be 30 years old at this point, and I just don't see a 30 unless he's going on a run like Antonio Brown did, later in his career. Then I just can't see a 30-year-old wide receiver being in the first round. So I'll go that route, but I mean, I think you can make an argument for a handful of these other ones too.
So I'll go with my guy here, AJ Brown. He's currently the 11th pick. Of course, we love AJ Brown from a dynasty standpoint, still very young. He's in that new situation though. And while he will, in my opinion, and presumably be the wide receiver 1, the top option for the Eagles, he's going to have a lot more competition for targets than he did in Tennessee. I think they're going to throw the ball less in Philadelphia than they did in Tennessee, although that certainly wasn't a high-powered pass offense either. So I think we see a dip in targets, a dip in volume, overall a drop in production with more competition. And I don't think he loses a ton of value, but I do expect him to be in that second round range more likely than the late first.
I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey just to be different than you guys. And for a lot of the same reasons that Matt mentioned about Cooper Kupp. Christian McCaffrey, 2 really awful injury-plagued seasons. Now we're giving him the benefit of the doubt, really, right? That he's still in the top 6 in ADP, and this guy's 26. Won't be 27 till next summer, but this is when we try to get out on these running backs. And I realize he's a different kind of guy, and when he's on the field, he is the number 1 player in fantasy football. I agree with all those things as well. But it's rare that you see guys that are 27. I think Matt had the list last week or the week before that are in the first round of ADP. So I think between those 3, who knows? We might go 3 for 3 on that thing, guys. But pretty safe to say that those are 3 of the higher names on that list. Let's jump over to round 2, starting at the 201 with Austin Eckler, then the rookie Breece Hall, and Dalvin Cook at number 3 in the second round. He's followed up by Saquon Barkley and Jalen Waddle, then Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon at the 2.07, followed up by T. Higgins, Mark Andrews, and Davante Adams. The last 2 picks of round 2 are DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. Ryan, which non-running back is most likely to fall out of the second round by the Super Bowl?
I went with the one who's further down the list right now. That's Davante Adams. Kind of a similar story to AJ Brown. New team, more competition for targets than he had in Green Bay, and that drop-off in quarterback that we've talked so much about. We saw a big drop in value after the trade to the Raiders, and if Davante Adams is not putting up a top 3, maybe a top 5 season this year, it's going to be hard for him to maintain this value at all. I think he's a 3rd rounder, maybe even a 4th rounder in startups next year.
Of course, Adams turns 30 on Christmas Eve as well. So certainly probably the most obvious guy out of this group. Yeah, Adams is really the clear one. And I would say that Diggs is unlikely to be in the top 24 picks. Just to be different than you guys, I'm going to take DK Metcalf as the guy that I think could fall out. He's the 3rd most likely outside of the running backs for me, and not because of an age issue or maybe not even because of the quarterback situation there and the question marks in general in Seattle. I'm not expecting a big season from him. There have been plenty of wide receivers that have been very productive with bottom 10% starting quarterbacks. And that could happen with DK Metcalf. I just always had a little bit of trouble getting on board with the inconsistency in his game. And I think he belongs in the 3rd round already right now. So that's why I'll go with him as most likely to fall out of round 2. How about round 3, fellas? We're gonna go through these real quickly, and then we'll ask which player from the 3rd round could leap all the way to round 1 by the time the Super Bowl kicks off. This is a fun one for sure. I think there's a most likely obvious one, but we'll see what everybody thinks here. Round 3 goes DJ Moore, then Tyreek Hill and Travis Etienne, followed up by Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry. The bottom half of round 3 goes Cam Akers, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Aaron Jones, Drake London, and Josh Allen.
I think it's maybe cheating a little bit because I'm taking the top guy on the list, but I'm going to take DJ Moore there. He's been kind of floating in this like mid wide receiver 2 or back end wide receiver 1 in terms of ADP over the course of his career. And now he has maybe the best quarterback he's had in his career. So I'm going to take him, and I'm pretty excited about DJ Moore this season.
I think I'm going to make a case for Travis Etienne here, though. We've already seen a big jump in value from him, really just based on expectations. We talked a couple weeks ago that he's already being valued higher than he was pre-injury last year, so that is a good sign. In February, he will still, after the season, he will still be just 23 years old, so that is another plus for him. And you look at the running backs currently ahead of him: Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, and then so many of those running backs that are in that 26, 27 age range, like Cook, Eckler, and even McCaffrey. So we're talking about a guy who could make a big leap and maybe jump into the back end of that 1st round.
I'm going to mention Drake London's name as the last guy that I considered. I don't think he's the most likely, not even close. Those other guys are certainly higher on the list. But a guy that's 6'5", 210 and picked in the top 10 of the NFL draft, those kind of guys often make huge leaps, and it's possible, right? I don't think anybody's really projecting Drake London to catch 85 plus passes and go soaring past 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns or anything like that. But I think it's in the realm of possibility, even with the quarterback that they have there. So I'll take the dark horse out of this group